Alright, so we're in the middle of doing our F-body disc brake conversion for our G-body Regal. The idea now is to remove the C-clip so we can get the axle off and then get at these backing plates here. The axle is held in with a little tiny C-clip that just falls on to the bottom of the face of the rear end here, and so we have to kind of fish it out. We're hoping that we'll be able to get it, which thankfully we did. Now the axle will come straight out. And the C-clip rides right on this little recess here. So now the idea is to get this backing plate away, and this here is for the wheel cylinder relief is here, and then this is for the springs, and this is a big ass nut that's on there. It's a 22 socket for the big nut, and I like to use a pipe wrench to hold the other part of the backing plate retainer thing here. Impact this off. Loud as fuck, but it gets the job done. One that broke. Let's see if this other one can do it. There you go. Right along this ridge here is where we want to cut this part off of the axle. And that way this flange will fit on the inside of the backing plate within this dimension here. Alright, that was an ordeal. What we're doing now is trying to align the holes here so that we will be able to mark them for our bolts that retain this backing plate on there. What you can do as well is take some duct tape or whatever and wrap it around this center piece of the axle tube until it matches the outer diameter of this retaining plate. And you can't get more center than that. But here we've got it pretty well equally spaced on all the sides. So we have an update on the rear end here. We were able to get the holes drilled here for our backing plate. We're also going to be replacing this seal and the bearing for the axles. The axle will also need some studs installed on it. We're going with extra long ones. We got this cleaned up fairly well, drained the fluid, and we'll be putting in a new gasket for the cover, of course, and then also these bushings here for the upper control arms are going to get changed out. The holes are the same over here. The backing plate fits very nice on there. The holes line up real good, so it should be good to go. After we change out these pieces, then we'll be able to get it back under the car. An update video on what we're doing with our rear disc brake conversion for the big block Buick build. These are from the F-body. We had to cut away some of the backing plate for the rear end, and we were able to get this mounted onto the rear end correctly. It's level and everything looks real good with that. We got new drilled and slotted rotors here. We also got our new cover pre-dented from the people who made it, and we're getting new bushings here. So we'll do the other side and install the new studs and backing plate and do another mock-up then for the caliper to make sure it clears the rim, and we should be good to go with this once those bushings are installed.
Well, there we have it. That's the 7.5 10-bolt rear diff, and then if we pull back here, that's a 30mm spacer, and it's got the 2.5-inch Moroso studs and F-body disc brakes. And then I'm gonna bring this around to the other side, and then that's the 15-inch rim right there. Now they said it couldn't be done. that there would be no way that this rim would fit on this rear end, but there we have it. It's installed and it looks beautiful. Jack, did you get some new sex toys?
New sex toys with new hardware.
Oh.
This here is another piece for our rear end assembly. This here is a shock absorber tie-in bar from UMI. They supply extra long bolts and nuts for the install, which is nice. The idea with these over here, these are the Alden American Racing coilover shocks. And they are adjustable with a spanner wrench, and you can get it to 3 inches lower, or you can adjust it to a 1/2 inch above stock.
Or any height in between the two ranges?
Yep, any height, because you just use a spanner wrench to tighten these, or loosen the nut, as it would be called on this ramp. These are very nice pieces here. They have an actual swivel joint for the top part of that. These brackets here are very nicely made. They bolt directly to the rear end here and goes through the control arm, attaching on the outside of it there, along with the nice mounting here. These brackets are especially made to point inward so that it'll fit with the F-body disc brake conversion that we did. It seems as they made it for that. Supply all the hardware and the other brackets for the top and bottom. Very nice pieces.
Are they very nice pieces?
Very nice pieces,
Are
but
you
very
sure?
fucking expensive.
Are you sure? Because you've said it at least, 3 or 4 times.
3 or
now.
4. 3 or 4.
So how about one more time for good measure?
These are very nice pieces.
Now shut up.
So the idea then is that once these are installed underneath there, then this piece here will be installed on top of the coilovers in order to tie them together to make it that much stronger, and hopefully launch that much harder. So it's all about the launch.
Alright, so coming over here to the driver's side where we don't have the wheel, rim, tire combo installed, and it's much easier to see what this coilover looks like. So that's the lower bracket here. It hooks in right up there. And then the challenge was getting that bolt. So the control arm right here has to be brought up, and then this part right here comes in from the differential, and so the whole rear end has to be pushed forward into the control arm, and then that bolt also has to go through this bracket right here, which goes up here into the coilover. All 3 pieces, before you have that bolt in, move independently of each other. And that's what Jack was talking about, that he needed 3 hands or an assistant to move all the pieces in unison in order to get that single bolt through. As soon as we were coordinated, it wasn't too difficult, but by yourself, it is a nightmare. All together, it makes for one beautiful piece.